The fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has been an event that many have had mixed feelings about. It was the fight that left everyone, even the legends, questioning the integrity of the sport. We saw Tyson, a once feared heavyweight champion, struggle in ways we never imagined. His couldn't clearly work with him, even tripping on his way to the ring.
Jake
And once the bell rang, it was clear that age was not his friend. Tyson, 58, was no longer the fighter who terrorized the ring in his prime, but a man who could barely last 3 rounds before age took its toll. Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, handed Tyson a decisive loss by unanimous decision. The fight was the definition of awkward, but it now seems things are getting too far. Apparently, Mike is now coming back to the ring to face Jake Paul again. Yes, you read that right. A rematch is being discussed, and it could be for an absurd $700 million, an offer reportedly made by Saudi Arabia's Turki Alalshikh, a key figure in the nation's expanding boxing scene. Alalshikh wants to see a more real fight, with Tyson having to win by a knockout within 3 minutes. And yes, you're probably thinking, how could anyone really want to see this again? The question on everyone's mind is, will we really watch Jake Paul harass Mike Tyson again in a fight that seems like an exercise in absurdity? Tyson, despite being a legendary fighter, looked out of place in the ring against Paul. When the match was announced, many wondered why Tyson, now nearing 60, would even entertain the idea of fighting a much younger and physically superior fighter like Paul. Tyson had been through health battles earlier in the year, having lost half his blood in a medical crisis and undergoing 8 blood transfusions. To many, it seemed like an unfair matchup from the start, with Tyson's age and health raising red flags long before the fight took place. But Mike Tyson bought us all with his frequently posted training videos. Then the fight happened, and it was a spectacle in the worst sense of the word. While Tyson tried to bring his trademark intensity into the match, it was clear by the 3rd round that he simply couldn't keep up with the younger, fitter Paul. In fact, it felt almost painful to watch. Tyson was unable to last more than 3 rounds before his body, tired from years of wear and tear, simply gave up. And what followed was a unanimous decision in Paul's favor, with Tyson looking like a shell of his former self.
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
The fight, despite being a clear win for Paul, was quickly met with accusations that it was staged, fixed, or that Tyson was not giving it his all. Some fans and experts claimed that the fight wasn't a fair representation of Tyson's skill, but more of a show for the cameras. Jake Paul, with his huge following and proven marketing ability, was seen as just playing the role of a villain in a spectacle that had more to do with entertainment than boxing. Of course, no one would be surprised if this whole thing was scripted, as Paul's rise in boxing has been anything but conventional. But now we're talking about a rematch, and not just any rematch, but one that comes with an insane $700 million price tag. Turki Alalshikh has made a stunning offer for Tyson to face Paul again in a real fight, with Tyson required to knock Paul out within 3 minutes. Alalshikh, who has criticized Paul for turning boxing into a joke, thinks that if Paul wants to be taken seriously as a boxer, he needs to stop fighting exhibition bouts and start fighting real fighters. The whole thing has turned into a circus, and Alalshikh, perhaps the most loud critic of Paul's approach to boxing, has stirred up a storm by offering Tyson such an outrageous sum of money. Mike Tyson has already made it clear that he isn't fighting for his legacy anymore. He's not concerned with proving anything. In fact, Tyson has stated that he doesn't care about his legacy, only that he's still able to get into the ring and do what he loves, despite his body's clear decline, and at the end of day, go home with enough money to take care of his family. Tyson's comments about not caring about legacy may be surprising to many, especially considering how much he once embodied the essence of what it meant to be a champion. But these aren't the words of a fighter who is chasing greatness anymore. They are the words of a man who is comfortable with the idea of being part of a spectacle, even if it tarnishes his former glory.
Mike Tyson, I thought that was a cute slap, buddy, but tomorrow you're getting knocked the fuck out. I'm fucking him up, Burial. I'm fucking him up. He hits like a bitch. It's personal now. It's personal now. He must die.
But are we really prepared to watch this spectacle again? Are we going to give in to the allure of a massive payout and the promise of a real fight? The rematch could easily be another embarrassing display of what happens when money becomes the primary motivator over actual competition. Alalshikh's offer is not just about testing Tyson's ability in the ring, it's about making a point, proving that Paul is more than just a gimmick, but the question remains at what cost?
Nice, come on, punch him. Yeah.
We could actually see Mike Tyson taking the offer. Besides, right after his fight with Jake, Mike Tyson tried to call out his brother, and this is not because he thought Logan was a worthy opponent. He knew the kind of money that the fight would bring. And as a man who doesn't care about his legacy and is after the money, well, $700 million is more than enough for him to even hesitate. The rematch, if it happens, will certainly generate massive attention and potentially even break viewership records. But it will also continue to raise uncomfortable questions about the state of boxing.
Opportunity has been ripped from all of us, but I do value Mike's health first and foremost. Love that guy, have so much respect for him. And
are we watching real fights or are we watching stage spectacles dressed up as sport? Tyson's battle with Jake Paul was already controversial, and a second fight would likely only magnify the absurdity of the situation. It's hard to deny that the offer is enticing, but at what point do we stop calling this boxing and start calling it something else entirely?
Following the Tyson fight, tell us, exactly why, expound on that.
Because why would he even want to fight him? And who told Mike Tyson to fight anyway?
Do you think that it might have tarnished Mike's legacy in a way?
Yeah, they did. They definitely did.
Well, even with all the controversy, Jake Paul is still on about how his fight with Mike Tyson was too real. To Jake Paul, he actually even wishes that Mike Tyson just did a little bit more to challenge him. Jake Paul did not hold back in his criticism of Mike Tyson after their recent fight. Paul made his feelings clear, expressing his disappointment in Tyson's performance, or rather the lack of it. For Jake, the fight wasn't the challenge he expected. Instead of seeing Tyson push himself, Paul felt that Tyson was just trying to survive in the ring rather than truly competing. "I wish he would have put up a better fight so I could have risen more and done more," Jake explained, sharing his frustration with the media. To Paul, Tyson wasn't really engaging with the fight. Instead, Tyson was, in Paul's eyes, only concerned with staying on his feet, trying to make it through the rounds. "He was just surviving, and that's the only thing I didn't like," Jake added. Jake's older brother Logan Paul shared his frustration. Logan, who has his own history of sparring with fighters, talked about how annoying it was when a boxer doesn't bring the fight to the challenger. "It's so annoying when they don't bring the fight to you," Logan said. Even with Tyson's defensive approach, he did manage to land a few punches on Jake, but they didn't seem to bother the younger Paul. "How did they feel?" Logan asked, clearly curious about Tyson's attacks. Jake quickly dismissed them, claiming, "Nothing, didn't feel a thing, to be honest. Even the ones he landed, I saw them coming, they didn't hurt." This kind of bold talk is not new for Jake Paul. His entire boxing career has been built around making a name for himself, often by facing opponents who many feel are past their prime or don't belong in the ring with him. Paul's critics, including many professional boxers, have often taken issue with his choice of opponents, questioning whether he's really competing at a high level or simply cashing in on his massive social media following. Despite his solid record of 11 wins and only 1 loss, Paul's critics argue that his opponents have not been of the caliber needed to prove that he belongs in the boxing world. From the start of his boxing career, he's faced older fighters, including former UFC stars who have no experience in professional boxing.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Tyson at 58 was no exception. Paul's ability to win against Tyson was expected by many, but the way in which he won, and Tyson's lackluster performance, left Paul with a bitter taste. To him, he wasn't impressed by Tyson's skill or effort and made it clear that he thought the fight was more about Tyson just trying to make it through the rounds rather than genuinely going for a victory. But Jake Paul's career has often been built around the entertainment part of it rather than the sport itself. Even before he fought Tyson, Paul made headlines by joking about his next opponent, an ancient Greenland shark. This offbeat announcement was based on a viral joke where an image of a 392-year-old shark began circulating online.
Question for Mike Tyson.
Doesn't matter what the question is, Jake Paul, the biggest clown. Got your next opponent here, Jake. Jake, it is Tony Bellew, Ariel. Ariel, if Mike lets him survive on Saturday night, I've got a great-grandfather, not a grandfather. This guy's got 2 hips. 2 hips. The 170's a great-grandfather.
The shark had been swimming since 1627, and fans quickly turned it into a meme, suggesting it would be a perfect next opponent for Jake Paul. Instead of ignoring the joke, Paul leaned into it, tweeting, "Next opponent found, let's run it." It was a playful jab at his critics, many of whom have mocked him for fighting opponents past their prime. This lighthearted response to his critics is typical of Jake Paul, who knows how to stir the pot and stay in the public eye. But behind the humor, there's a serious aspect to Paul's career. He's been called out by professional boxers from every corner, from Artur Beterbiev to Daniel Dubois. These fighters are eager to get a piece of the money that Jake Paul brings to the table. Many feel that Jake's rise in boxing is more about his massive social media following than his actual boxing skills, which is a thought shared by a large portion of the boxing community. They argue that Paul has been able to manipulate the system by cherry-picking fights with people who are either older, less skilled, or new to the sport.
What did you think of the fight?
It wasn't a good one.
It wasn't a good one. Yeah. Overall, how do you just see how Jake fought, how Mike fought?
Well, you can tell something was wrong with the Tyson leg. So he couldn't, his balance was off.
The fight with Tyson was a key moment in Jake Paul's career. While it did give him another victory, it also put his critics' accusations front and center. Paul's confidence and boldness in criticizing Tyson's performance can't be denied. He has built a career on talking a big game, and it's clear he sees Tyson's performance as just another step in his rise to becoming a bigger name in boxing. Whether you like him or not, Jake Paul knows how to keep the conversation going. By dismissing Tyson's punches as nothing more than a light breeze and focusing on his own victory, Paul maintains his stance as a rising star in the sport.
Yeah, he's like tough, proud of him, weathered the storm, a young brute named Jake Paul. I think Jake let him live. I do. He wants to fight you, bro.
Yeah, he wants to fight you next. What about that?
I think he wants money. I don't think he wants to fight me.
Would you take the fight?
No.
Why?
Jake Paul's career may have started with viral videos and YouTube pranks, but he's now undeniably a force in the boxing world. People may call his matches fixed or question his opponent's skill level, but one thing is clear: Jake Paul is here to stay. And whether he's joking about fighting a 392-year-old shark or tearing down legends like Mike Tyson, Jake knows how to stay in the spotlight and get people talking. As much as the boxing world may criticize him, the numbers don't lie. Jake Paul is bringing attention to the sport like few others have. Whether it's good for boxing or not is another matter entirely. Mike Tyson's family was deeply concerned about the fight with Jake Paul. Tyson, at 58 years old, was facing a much younger, faster, and bigger opponent. The concern was understandable, especially since Tyson had recently battled serious health issues, including a burst ulcer that left him in a critical condition just 5 months before the fight.
What was your take on the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight? What was your opinion on that?
It was all right, you know. It's kind of like what it was.
Mr. Fake.
You know.
If Jake Paul calls you for early next year, is that what you want to do?
Yeah, let's run that.
Amir Tyson, son of the legendary Mike, expressed his pride in his father's performance after the fight, stating that he was proud of what Mike accomplished despite the age difference and the physical toll it had taken on him. "I was very proud, but yes, of course I was worried," Amir said, recognizing that his father was fighting a much younger opponent who had an advantage in speed and stamina. But Amir was confident in his father's ability to withstand the punches, as Mike Tyson is renowned for his durability. "I knew he wasn't going to get knocked down or out because he can take those punches." However, Amir couldn't ignore the reality of his father's age. "Jake is younger, faster, and bigger," Amir noted. "When you get older, your cardio diminishes." That didn't stop Mike Tyson, though. Amir was quick to acknowledge that despite the physical limitations that come with age, his father gave a solid performance that showed his legendary toughness. "He did it better than any 58-year-old, Amir said. "He went the distance and I am proud as hell of what he did. It was like a Rocky Towan moment." It wasn't just about the fight itself, but about what Tyson represented, a figure who transcended generations and continued to inspire people decades after his prime.
Final thing, I presume that Mike Tyson is watching this right now. Is there anything you want to say to him?
Mike, I love you, but this is my sport now. It's an honor to get in the ring with you. I'm so honored you're a legend, but I'm gonna take your throne, brother.
There's a fundamental difference.
This Rocky comparison was fitting. Like the iconic movie character, Mike Tyson had defied expectations and continued to make an impact long after his prime. Most athletes finish and retire into the sunset, but for him to remain this relevant for so many generations, it shows you everything, Amir said. Tyson's decision to continue fighting, despite the odds and his health struggles, proved his resilience. Even though his family had worries about his well-being, they couldn't help but feel immense pride in what he had achieved by staying relevant and competitive for so long.
If you have a legacy like Mike Tyson, are you putting yourself in that position just for 20 million?
Hell yeah.
I'm never downplaying my legacy if I'm a person like Mike Tyson.
He fought Roy Jones Jr. How's he downplaying
and got paid
his
10
legacy? He got paid $10 million to fight Roy Jones.
10.
He got paid $20 million to fight a YouTuber.
How many boxers was mad that the whole fight happened? It was a lot.
A lot. You know why?
Despite his concerns, Amir knows there was little he could do to convince his father to retire. "If I say too much, he'd only tell me to shut up and remind me I'm not his dad," Amir laughed, revealing the stubborn side of Mike Tyson. "I can say my part, but he is the grown-up and he will do whatever he wants." It's clear that Mike Tyson, once one of the fiercest competitors in the boxing world, is a man who still believes in his own ability and determination, regardless of his age or the concerns of his loved ones.
It's day one, the fun's just begun.
Amir also acknowledged the reality of his father's love for the sport, which is why convincing him to retire would be near impossible. "I'll chip in and say that was a great last fight. Leave it at that. But if he wants to do it, then nobody is going to stop him, because he loves it." That passion for boxing is what continues to drive Mike Tyson, and it's evident that no matter what his family says, he will continue to fight as long as he feels capable.
Children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for.
One of the most touching moments came just before the fight when Amir entered his father's dressing room to offer some final words of support. In a brief but emotional exchange, Amir told his father that he loved him. It was a simple but heartfelt gesture, demonstrating the close bond between father and son. However, what followed that touching moment became an internet sensation. As Tyson walked away from the camera, a cameraman inadvertently captured a viral clip revealing Tyson's bare bottom. "Everyone has been asking me if it was intentional or scripted, but of course it wasn't," Amir explained, laughing at the mishap. "We went into the room to interview, I told him I loved him, and then the cameraman followed his walk-off. That S was crazy."
Get back up and keep fighting.
You know what, bro?
Fuck that! Mike is about to fuck your ass up! He about to fuck you up, Jake!
Despite the viral moment, the underlying message was clear. Mike Tyson's family, particularly his son Amir, is incredibly proud of his legacy and the example he continues to set, and which some wouldn't be when your father is being offered $700 million for one fight night. It's hard to imagine many fathers who would continue to fight in the ring at 58 years old, especially after nearly dying from a health scare. But for Mike Tyson, the thrill of competition and the love for the sport keeps him pushing forward. And for his family, no matter how much they wish he would take a step back, they will always be there supporting him in every step of his journey. But do you think Mike should be taking this fight? And will you watch it? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.